Hi everyone, welcome back to Healthy with Nicole. And in this video, I want to talk about using the carnivore diet to get you into remission. So I have to kind of say this with a grain of salt because whenever I say healed my ulcerative colitis or have cured my ulcerative colitis, I get a lot of people that get really ruffled feathers. And so they say, you're never cured, you're always in remission. That language comes from the medical establishment. So if you choose to believe that, then I'll just use those words remission for those people. So anyway, that being said, leading the groundwork there, I want to say that if you have been following my journey at all, you'll know that I did a pretty much vegan diet for about 15 years. And in that time, I had some good experiences. And then as time went on, I had a lot of really bad experiences, which you can read and watch in a previous video that I'll link here. But over the years, I had a lot of different health problems. I had problems with my thyroid and problems with my gallbladder and a lot of other things that ultimately became, the gut problems. And so it took a long time for me to recognize what was happening until literally I was bleeding. So, and then when I, was finally diagnosed in 2012 with ulcerative colitis, it was pretty surprising because I always considered myself to be the healthiest person in regards to what I eat and exercise and all of that. You can read my story in my book, How I Healed My Ulcerative Colitis, and I'll put a link for that below as well. But what I want to talk about is one of the tools that I used specifically, which I did get very good results from, which is the carnivore diet. And I talk about it all the time. There's even a free program on my website. I'll put that link below as well, in terms of just showing people how I did it. And so the question I get is from a lot of people that have ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or another inflammatory bowel disease is, can the carnivore diet cure me or put me into remission? And so what I want to say is, yes, it can, but it also might not. And let me explain why that is. So first of all, when we have ulcerative colitis, they say it's an idiopathic disease, meaning they don't know what causes it. We do know it's autoimmune, but there's also some thoughts and people considering, different hypotheses about what causes it. Some people say it could be contributed from trauma or stress, which I can say I had a lot of that in my life that may have contributed. Some people call it a fungal infection, which also could have, been true for me as well, coming from heavy fruit and, carbohydrate-based diet, and after having a lot of antibiotic use. Some people call it a bacteria-driven infection. And that's always possible too, because, again, when you interrupt your microbiome from taking antibiotics, which I did my whole childhood, it's very possible. So there's a lot of different theories as to what causes it. But what we know makes it worse, and in some cases, for some people might cause it, are food additives or even foods themselves, predominantly from the plant-based diet. And what I want to explain is that it's not just vegetables, right? I do think that was a big part of my problem. I used to eat a lot of raw vegetables. I mean, a lot. Huge bowls of raw kale salad, big pitchers full of, the green smoothies made of kale and fruit, a lot of raw foods. Okay, so the human body is not designed to deal with fiber. We just can't break down fiber, not that kind. So I do think that was a significant part of my problem, because when I cut it all out, I did heal. And it took me 4 months on the carnivore diet before I was able to see those changes. Now, some people can just cut out the vegetables and it goes away. Some people can, stop food additives like some of the gums. I know I was a big almond milk drinker, and there was a gum in there called carrageenan, which a lot of people did have gut problems from. So that could have been a contributor as well. So we don't really know exactly what's causing it. But we do know that if you take away a lot of the irritants like fibers, food additives, even I had someone that messaged me about, having an allergy to nickel being in a lot of plant foods. So if you take away all of these irritants to the gut, then you're just not throwing fuel on the fire, right? So if you think of your gut as this inflamed area, that if you just stop irritating it, it's going to calm down. Does it mean you've fixed your gut? I don't know, not necessarily. I mean, if you can't then add other foods back in without having a massive reaction, then I wouldn't call that remission or healed at all. It just means that you're not irritating your gut. It's like the analogy of, if you have weak legs and you go to the gym and you do arms and you have a great day, doesn't mean that you did anything great. You just didn't do the thing that is hard for you. So I feel like with the diet scene, this is similar, where if we cut out a certain irritant and then the problems go away, maybe we fix the situation, but maybe we're just not irritating it. And that's what I think the confusion is for some people, because they go back to eating certain foods and they have the problems again. So I want to give you some idea about how you can check this. First of all, some people will say that you can never get healed from this illness and that you are always in remission if you never have symptoms. So for me, I'm going close to like 4.5 years now since I had my last issue with ulcerative colitis, and that was on the carnivore diet. Now, I also have done a lot of work to heal the gut, to work on traumas, to work on microbiome. I've done all those things. And so not just eliminating the foods that are irritating, but rebuilding the intestinal lining, super important. And then you have to rebalance your microbiome and build that back up, because that is what protects the mucous membrane layer, which protects the intestinal lining, which is super, super fragile. And once you break that's where people start to see multiple autoimmune problems and all kinds of other things, right? So the question is, can carnivore diet cure or heal or put you into remission? And I think it can absolutely help, but it might not work 100%. And that's why you do still have to address, the balance of the microbiome, any toxins that are in your body, any other lingering allergens, and maybe it's even stress or trauma. Some people have thyroid problems that prohibit them from having proper digestion. Some people have fungus in the body that they never address. So there are other things that you need to address. And I guess the test is, if you can add a little bit of different foods here and there, and I'm not saying go back to full-blown, plant-based or vegan diets, but if you can add a little bit of different foods here and there and not get a reaction, you're probably doing pretty darn good. However, if you're feeling good, but the moment you add in something else, you're still responding or flaring, I don't call that, a great situation. You're tempering things, and that's good for now, but you still have work to do. So I hope that helps. Leave a comment below. Tell me what's worked for you. I want to hear, and I love to hear other people's stories, and I'm sure that all my listeners do as well. But I love to hear what's working for people, because we are all different. And obviously carnivore diet isn't the end all be all, but I do think that it can be extremely helpful. So if you'd like to get more information, go to my website. I do one-on-one coaching, and I also have a group coaching session where we have a weekly call, and you can call in for support and group coaching on that. All right, I hope you guys liked that video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you in the next one.